Welcome to another episode of Celebrity Spotlight here on Live from Dennis's House. Today we're speaking with Pamelyn Ferdin, the most prolific actress, child actress of all time. She played Felix Unger's daughter on The Odd Couple, Edna, I'm sure you all remember that. And then she was the voice of Lucy from the Peanuts. We all grew up with that, we all loved that. And every single show that we loved during the 60s and 70s, she was on pretty much all of them. Bewitched, Green Acres, Monkeys, Flying Nun, Family Affair, Brady Bunch, Love American Style, Sigmund and Steve Sea Monsters, Star Trek, you name it, she was in it. So we're going to talk to her. We're going to find out all about her acting career. She worked with all the legends of Hollywood, and we're going to find out all there is to know about that. And then her post-career, we're going to talk to her about her life after acting and her animal activism and, what she's up to now. She's got a book coming out, all that kind of stuff. Now let's get to our interview with Pamelyn Ferdin. On the phone with us now is Pamelyn Ferdin. Hello, Pamela. Thanks for calling in.
No problem.
So I want to talk about your whole life. We're going to wrap it up in about 25 minutes. We're going to talk about your acting career, your post-acting life, your animal activism, your book that's coming out, and anything else you want to. But let's start from the beginning. How did you get started in acting? What age were you? And what were some of your first roles?
Well, I got my mother put me in the business, the acting business, when I was about probably 3 years old. And, I was so young that, to be quite honest with you, I was really scared and afraid of going on these interviews, but my mom was determined to make me into a star that I went out and I started getting parts right away because I could read so well. I mean, I couldn't read at 3, but somebody would read the lines to me and I would feed back the lines. And so I was able to work starting at the age of 3. There'll be more in the book that I'm writing, though, that I'm co-writing, I should say. There'll be more in the book.
Right.
But on the whole, I was so smart as a little kid, much smarter than I am now, but I was so smart at such an early age that I basically would hear the lines fed to me, and then I would remember them, and I would repeat them back because I couldn't read at age 3. So they would feed me the lines, and I would read them back, and I did shows like the Jonathan Forsythe Show. That was at Universal Studios. And then I did a telephone and telegraph commercial and a Barbie doll commercial and just a bunch of commercials. And then I got a movie called What a Way to Go, starring Dean Martin.
Wow.
And so I was a little tiny thing on What a Way to Go. And then I just kept on going out on interviews for commercials, TV shows, movies, and I just was the busiest actress, regardless that I was young. I mean, I was the busiest actress of all, even of adult actors.
Right.
There was a time where I was doing 3 series at one time.
Wow.
3 series at one time. So I was a very hardworking actress.
Right. When I was doing research before the show, and there was so many things, because I grew up with you. I'm a little bit younger, but I remember watching you on TV. And as I was researching, though, I had no idea the enormity and how prolific you were in your career. You were basically on every single TV show during the 60s and 70s. It was amazing.
Yes, I was very, very busy.
Now, as part of being an actress, though, of course, you have to handle rejection as well. And how do you do that as a little child?
Well, that was a very difficult thing for me, and especially because I had a Hollywood mother, in quotes. I had a Hollywood mother who would be very upset and disappointed that I didn't get a part. And so not only did I feel horrible because I knew that my mom was upset with me and everything. So, you know, it was hard. It's very hard, especially when you have somebody who wants you to get the part. And so I thought, boy, why didn't I get that part? I didn't work hard enough, or I wasn't good enough. And so, you know, I had a lot of anxiety over that.
Now, so I was recently, I interviewed another childhood star, Mason Reese, and he brought up an excellent point. A lot of people say, oh my goodness, so many child stars go off the rails and all of this. But if you think at it, it's just another part of society, that there's thousands and maybe million child stars over the years, and only a very few went off the rails. So it's just a small percentage of it, just like in regular society. But what kept you so grounded? I didn't hear anything about you going off the rails as a teenager or anything.
Well, I went off the rails in my own way, for sure. I had terrible anorexia nervosa.
Oh, wow.
I went through a period where I was very, very depressed, and it was like I had, and I have still to this day, PTSD. I was diagnosed with PTSD, and I had a lot of depression and a lot of fears, a lot of irrational fears. So I went through a lot personally. It just wasn't drugs or alcohol,
okay.
And so it wasn't in the news.
Right.
But personally, I think I went through as hard a time as any alcoholic or drug abuser has. So, you know, but I have to say that I grew up in an era. I call it the end of an era. It was the end of the era of the studios running everything, the big studios, and that was a carryover from the 30s, 40s, and 50s, where all the power was in the studios. And so it was a lot more, to me, I believe, it was a lot more fun than it is today for actors, because you knew everybody. It was a very tight-knit community. Each studio had the same casting directors, and each studio used some of the same directors, and the producers all had their offices at one studio or another. And so you got to, as I was working so much, it was more like a family. And they would have a huge cafeteria called the commissary, and they would have these huge commissaries at each studio, and you would go, and I would go in for lunch to the commissary, and you would see all these stars. You would see Judy Garland. Well, you would see Lucille Ball. You would see Dean Martin. You would see just all these stars in the commissary, and they would be eating their lunch there.
Just like regular people.
It really was a very interesting, very, very interesting childhood and teenage years when I was filming. So I think that it just was a lot more fun back then.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you mentioned you worked with the biggest stars, Hollywood royalty. You worked with Clint Eastwood, Jack Benny, Dean Martin, Bing Crosby, Gene Kelly, Danny Kaye, Jerry Lewis, Debbie Reynolds, Ron Howard, Spielberg, everybody. So as a little child, were you aware of who these people were and their importance in show business?
I really wasn't. And I wish now I had made a bigger deal about it, but I didn't know because I was so young. I didn't know about stars, or I didn't know. I mean, I knew that they were important people, but not like a fan would say, oh my gosh, you got to work with Bing Crosby, or oh my gosh, you got to work with Red Skelton. I didn't have that, and so to me, they were just basically fellow actors, except I have to say Lucille Ball made a huge impression on me because she actually complimented me, and I knew that, I loved Lucille Ball, and I was just so honored. But she had seen me on a Marcus Welby episode, and I was working at the time at another studio, on another sound stage at the same studio, and I walked over to her set, and on a break that I had, and I walked over and I met her, and she said, you were that girl on Marcus Welby, and you did a fantastic job. You are such a great actor. And I'll always remember that. I mean, who gets to say that they've been complimented by Lucille Ball?
Yeah, absolutely. And you really were, even for a child, for an adult, for anybody. You was such a great actress that you could do anything: comedy, you could do drama, everything. It was very rare, I'd say.
Yes.
Now, of all these people that you worked with, who was your personal favorite, or some of the favorites that you worked with? Who'd you enjoy the most?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, so many of them. Debbie Reynolds, Paul Lynde, who else? Dean Martin.
Wow.
Who else? Well, the whole Star Trek, William Shatner, the whole Star Trek episode, I had a crush on Bill Shatner, and I followed him around because I had such a little crush on him that I would follow him around, and I would watch him when he got his makeup put on, and he was so nice that he would talk to me when I would stand there next to him while he got his makeup put on. That he talked to me, and he was very friendly, and then he asked me to marry him, and so I, of course, accepted, and he wanted me to pick out the date that we were going to get married, and I picked out the day after the last day of school, and he gave me a little cigar band that I wish I had kept to this day. I don't know what happened to that cigar band, but so I've had a lot of great, interesting experiences growing up. But again, that'll all be in the book.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. So now, my personal favorite show of all time, and probably my favorite role of yours, was on The Odd Couple. And you were well known as Edna, but you actually played a smaller role on an earlier episode with you were a camper.
Yes. I had gotten the part to play a little camper girl on The Odd Couple, and actually, I was supposed to play the role that Lisa Gerritsen played, and Lisa Gerritsen, another little girl actress, was supposed to play the part that I was supposed to play. But when we did that, when we rehearsed the segment, Jerry Paris, who was the director, if my memory serves me correctly, it was Jerry Paris, but it could have been somebody else. But he was a fantastic director. Jerry Paris was great. In fact, he was the friend of Dick Van Dyke on the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Right, the neighbor,
And then he directed a lot of the Jonathan Forsythe shows. But anyway, he thought that I would be better off playing the other character. So he switched us, and I just had, I don't know, my personality was such that they could see me as Felix Unger's daughter.
Yeah.
And there was a chemistry between me and Tony Randall. I just thought he was the funniest guy. I just adored him. He was incredibly smart, and he would sing operettas in between takes. And remember, this was when we were filming in front of just a camera.
Right.
When I played his daughter, we started filming in front of a live audience. But at the time that I played this girl camper, we would have obviously breaks in between scenes, and he would be singing operettas, and he was just so full of life and grandeur, and I just got such a kick out of him that they noticed this chemistry, and they thought, oh my gosh, her personality would work great as Edna Unger. And I feel like I was Edna Unger. I really, there are some roles that I played that I connected to more than others, obviously. And that was one that I just felt completely natural in it as his daughter. And another one was when I did the voice in Charlotte's Web.
Oh, of course. Fern.
Yes, when I played the voice of Fern in Charlotte's Web, I really felt like I was that little girl.
Yeah.
And, there were some others, the Marcus Welby and things. Now, when I did Daughter of the Mind, I was supposed to have been hit by a car, killed, and then I come back to life and start talking to my father.
Wow.
So, that was a little bit harder for me to connect with. But The Odd Couple and shows like that, I just had a real affinity for. And unfortunately, though, at least in my opinion, I left the show because my parents wanted me to be guaranteed to be in all the episodes of the Paul Lynde Show. And The Odd Couple, I just had a reoccurring appearance on it.
Oh,
I wasn't guaranteed to be on every show. So I wanted to stay on The Odd Couple because even though I wouldn't have done all the episodes, it was so much fun for me. But unfortunately, I guess for work and financial reasons, my parents had me sign with the Paul Lynde Show, and so I couldn't be the daughter to two different dads.
Yeah. I was wondering
I had
that.
Dropped but I really wish that I had continued because that truly was one of my most favorite roles. Another one was, and it's funny that two of them out of the three that I'm talking about with you right now were voiceovers, but the other one was Lucy.
Oh, of course.
Lucy Van Pelt in Charlie Brown. And in all the segments and the commercials and most of it through my, for several years I played the voice of Lucy. And in fact, my voice didn't change as rapidly as other child voiceover artists. So they kept me as Lucy Van Pelt longer than they normally would have, because they normally pick children that have the certain voice for the character that sounds like the character would sound in their minds. Charles O. Schultz's mind, I should say, in his mind. But then as they grew up, their voices might change. But my voice didn't change that much, and so they kept me on as Lucy longer than the first Lucy that they had. But I just felt very connected with Lucy, and the reason I did was I didn't play her as just a mean boss, as just a nasty, bossy little girl. I played her as someone who my concept in my head was of somebody who was just very smart and just got frustrated with Charlie Brown, and she would just get so frustrated. So it was less negative. It was less of a nasty voice character than it was just somebody who got plain frustrated with Charlie Brown, and that's what got me the part. That's what Charles Schultz said got me the part when he heard my voice, because what they did was they recorded a bunch of little girls' voices, of course, saying the lines that Lucy Van Pelt would say in a certain scene, and then they shipped them all the way, because they didn't have internet in those days, of course. They shipped them, they mailed them all to Charles Schultz up north in Northern California. And he listened to all of them, and he heard my voice, and he said, "Okay, that's it. That's who I want. That's my Lucy."
Yeah, that's awesome. And I have to say, your voice still has not changed that much. Do people recognize you by your voice? Because I can still hear Lucy.
Yes. People still recognize me by my voice for sure. But getting back to The Odd Couple, being one of my most favorite roles is because of Tony Randall and Jack Klugman. Both of them were very, very nice. In fact, Jack Klugman remembered me years later when I was doing an episode of Beretta.
Oh, I wanted to ask you about that. Tell that story. Yes. Please.
and I was working on a Beretta episode, and I was going out to lunch, and I was supposed to be pregnant, 9 months pregnant on Beretta. And so I wore the get up to make me look pregnant. I was walking to get lunch, so I was out of the sound stage and just walking around the studio going to lunch, and who do I run into but Jack Klugman? And he was so shocked because he thought I was really pregnant at such a young age, because I was only 15 or 16, that I could tell. I said, no, Mr. Klugman, I'm not really pregnant. I'm just playing a pregnant girl.
That's hysterical. I love that. Yeah. So now, I also saw some clips of you playing the guitar and singing. Did you do much of that? Do you still do that?
Yeah, well, I don't do it regularly, but I used to do it a lot. I played the guitar and sung. I did that on Curiosity Shop. I did a couple shows on Curiosity Shop, which was a Saturday morning series for children, and I played my guitar and sang. But, I'll tell you, I grew up in the business working hard, and then I decided, I am very compassionate, and I feel sympathy, so much sympathy for people, animals. Well, people are animals, but anyway, so I stopped working when I was around 18, and I went to nursing school, and I became a nurse. And we could talk for another half hour on just my nursing life. But anyway, I worked as a nurse. I met my husband. We got married, and then I got involved with animal advocacy and animal rights, and that was just such a momentous time in my life.
So now, tell us about this book before we wrap this up here. When can we expect to read this book?
Well, it'll be within the next probably maybe 9 to 12 months. My co-author, Richard Reese, is projecting that it'll probably be about 9 to 12 months. And it's going to be really good. It's already really good. It's a good read, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I imagine this is going to be awesome. Like, there's one story I saw you alluded to. You were talking about Paul Lynde before, and you were saying that you guys were not happy on that set. So I can't wait to read about that.
Yes, no, he did not like teenagers or kids. He was great when he played Templeton, the rat, in Charlotte's Web. He was great. He was the voice of the rat in Charlotte's Web. But no, he did not in real life. He did not like children very much. But yeah, that'll all be in the book. Yeah. And I just wanted to let people know that if they want to do something, just a favor for me, and because I brought them some happiness in their lives watching me play these roles, then I would ask them to please go to the PETA website. You just have to Google People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals and read their information on shelters and why you need to spay and neuter your animals and why you need to rescue them from a shelter and all kinds of great information. That would actually make me the happiest that would be a good payback for any happiness I brought them when they watched these shows that I played in.
Yeah, that's fair enough, because you did bring a lot of happiness. You were kind of the voice of the generation. For speaking for myself, I remember, as a little child, I loved seeing other little children on TV, and I just loved all your roles. So let me ask you, if you have children of your own or nieces, nephews, do they still watch Charlotte's Web or the Peanuts and say, hey, that's you?
Yeah. My husband and I chose not to have children, but believe me, if my friends and family, they all still watch. My nieces and nephews, I'm sure they've watched me in parts and things like that. So, but I'm just glad that I brought some happiness to people.
Yeah, that stuff, those shows will go on forever. It's it's a great career. So what do you have coming up? Do you have anything you want to talk about? A plug that you have appearances or anything happening?
Well, just the book for now. I'm just working really, really feverishly with my co-author, and we're just working feverishly to get this book out. So everyone listening to this, check out PamelynFerdin.com, and as she mentioned before, go to the PETA website and find out all about that. So and also to Facebook. If they go to Facebook.com/Pamelyn Ferdin, they'll find me there. So please follow me at Facebook. It's really a fun page.
It really is. I got to say, I looked through that.
And interesting. We talk about all the different actors I met and memories I had about working with each of them. I mean, obviously, in 25 minutes, we couldn't cover everything.
Right.
Not even a smidgen.
Yeah.
Not even a page of what's going to be in the book. But my Facebook fan page is really fun. So Facebook.com /Pamelyn Ferdin will get you there.
Yeah, there's a lot of great pictures. Every day there's a new picture with you with an amazing celebrity. I can't believe this career you've had. And that book is going to be great. Make sure you put those pictures in that book, too. I love that.
Okay, I will.
All right, it was great talking to you. I can't wait for that book. Maybe we'll talk again when the book comes out. And thank you very much.
Yes, I would love that.
All right, thank you, Pamelyn.
Okay, thank you, Dennis, very much.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Hey, welcome back live from Dennis's house. That was our interview with Pamelyn Ferdin, and you've heard it all. She's done it all. What a career. She's been in every TV show with every major star there ever was. And now go to PamelynFerdin.com and check it out. It's a great site. Go check out our Facebook page, and as she said, go to the PETA page, find out what's going on there. And it's just a great career. We can't wait for that book to come out. It's just amazing. She was in all of our lives, and Edna Unger and Lucy and every show. It's just an amazing career. So that's it. Go check out everything, and we'll see you next time on Live from Dennis's House, 474 The Mix.